is Dr.P.Syamala from the Department of MBA International Business Management Studies, Acharya Nagarjuna University. Today's our topic is span of management. Okay, so this span of management is studied under the concept of organizing. Okay, so what does span of management means? uh, Before going to this concept, this span of management, this is also known as, okay, span of control, span of supervision, span of responsibility, span of authority, or span of direction. Okay, all these are the other names for span of management. In exam point of view, they'll ask like span of control rather than span of management, okay, or span of supervision. Most repeatedly form of asking this question is they'll ask in a span of control or span of supervision. Okay, now coming to span of management, what does span of management means? Okay, literally speaking, span means it is a space between two supports of a structure. Okay, that is known as a span. And for example, it may mean the space between two pillars of a bridge. The space between the two pillars should neither be too large nor too small. Okay, if it is too large means the bridge may collapse, or else if it is too small means it will unnecessarily increase the cost of construction. Okay, like that. The span means it is a space between two supports of a structure. And coming to management, okay, when applied to management, how we can define span? Okay, so span refers to the number of subordinates a manager or supervisor can supervise, manage, control, okay, effectively and efficiently. In other words, the number of people reporting to an authority. Span of control is an important principles of organizing, which is based on relationship. Okay, in the introduction part only I have said that span of management is studied under the concept of organizing. So the base for organizing is the span of management, which is again based on the relationships. Okay, so therefore span means how many subordinates are working under a superior, okay, a manager. What is the capacity of a manager, okay, to guide uh, or to maintain, okay, to supervise the subordinates, the number of people, how many number of people a manager can manage. Okay, so that is studied under this span of management. Why? Because a single person may have a capacity to look over 5 to 6 members of people. Okay, so here in organization, a manager has to deal with number of people, number of individuals in the department. Okay, so here this study specifically about the number of subordinates, how many number of subordinates should work under a superior. Okay, so span of control. The problem of span arises because an executive or manager has limited time, limited attention, and limited mental and physical energy to make effective supervision. Okay, so the term span, when it is used, okay, the problem of span when it arises means whenever a manager is not competitive, he has no time, okay, time to manage many number of people, and attention, he cannot have an attention on all the people. Okay, and at the same time he may have a limited mental and physical energy, okay, in order to have an effective supervision. Therefore in that time, at that time, the problem of span arises. Okay, now uh, span of supervision may be referred to the optimum number of subordinates that a manager or supervisor can manage or control effectively at a time. Okay, Thus, a span of control, it can be, we can define it as a number of employees a manager can directly supervise. Okay, like that, many authors have given defined a span of management. Okay, like Hamilton, Arvik, Greikunus. Okay, these have defined about the span of management, and Greikunus theory is very important regarding the span of management, because he defined uh, how many relations can a person can maintain with a six subordinates. He had given a theory regarding that. Okay, so we'll discuss it later, but as of now, so these are the some of the definitions that were given by the authors, okay, regarding the span of management. So, according to Hamilton, he stated that average human brain can handle 3 to 6 other brains, and the ideal number of subordinates is 4 at higher levels and 8 to 12 at lower levels of management. Okay, and Greikinus, he given a theory that a person can manage 222 relationships arising out of 6 subordinates or 6 number of people. Okay, so these are some of the definitions regarding the span of management. Okay, so the span of management is nothing but, now we can say that, how many number of people are reporting to an authority, or how many a number of people or subordinates can be managed by a supervisor or manager, the capacity of a manager. Okay, we can say like that for span of management. Now, coming to factors. So what are the factors that are influencing the span of supervision? Okay, first one is capacity and experience of manager. Okay, so capacity and experience of manager means the span of supervision depends upon the knowledge, energy, personality, interest, attitude, experience, and other capabilities of the manager. Okay, and these qualities differ from individual to individual. Okay, a manager who possesses these qualities in greater degree as compared to the others can supervise a large number of subordinates efficiently and effectively. Okay, this is important factor under span of management. So this is a factor which influences the span of management, span of control. So the capacity, so the capacity means the knowledge, skills, abilities. Okay, all this comes under this. So if at all the person is very much skilled person, knowledgeable person, he can manage, okay, the span of control. Now coming to second one, ability of subordinates. So what does ability of subordinates means? If the subordinates are skilled, efficient, trained, and competent, they require less supervision. Okay, in such a case, an executive can supervise a large number of subordinates. If the subordinates are incompetent means and inexperienced means, they require greater supervision. In such a case, an executive can supervise effectively a lesser number of subordinates. Okay. For example, if we take in routine activities or and specific activities. Routine activities, there is no need of a manager to continuously monitor. Why? Because routine activities are done routinely, and the subordinate is habituated to do the to do that activity, okay, without any flaws. But if at all any specific activity is assigned to him means, so the subordinate may have some doubts regarding that specific activity, so he has to guide to be guided by the manager. Therefore, if at all the subordinate is efficient person means, even though specific work is assigned to him, no need of manager will be there. Okay, like that, ability of subordinate also influences the span of control. And coming to third one, nature of work performed by employees. So nature of work also affects the, okay, affects the span of control. In case of routine and repetitive operations, span can be wide, okay, as subordinates do not need frequent guidance from the executive. Okay, routine and repetitive operations, no need of control by the managers, because he is habituated to do his work, daily routine work. But in case of specialized work means definitely he need a guidance. Okay, the nature of work, that is known as nature of work, is here what? Routine versus specialized work. Okay, so depending upon this routine or specialized work, okay, span of control can be analyzed. And next one is time available for supervision. So time available for supervision means the span of control should be narrow at higher levels, because top managers have less time available for supervision. Okay, therefore time here is very very important. So span of control should be narrow in the sense, uh, to small extent. Okay, because top managements have many more activities to be taken regarding the organization, from decision making, from allocation of resources, from framing of all policies and procedures. Okay, like that, in many issues top management is involved, so therefore they do not have much time to have on span of control or span of management. Therefore time available for supervision is also another factor for span of control. Okay, and coming to, they have to spend their sorry, at lower levels of management this span would be wide. Means the scope of controlling will be more, because here in lower levels of management, okay, they have to devote lesser time on such other activities. They have to concentrate on their work only, not on other activities like planning or directing, controlling, like other such activities. They are devoted to only work, so therefore here they have more time to manage, to guide, to monitor the subordinates. Therefore more control will be there. So time is another factor. Okay, next coming to quality of planning. So quality of planning means this also a factor for span of supervision. Means span of control will be more or less, it depends upon the quality of planning. If plans and policies are clear and easily understandable means the work of supervision becomes easier and the span of management can be wide. Okay, if at all the work is planned clearly, defined roles and responsibilities are there, easily understandable means definitely the work will be gone smoothly. Okay, there will be no need of management, more management. Okay, but uh, the here the span of management will be more. That means he can see, the manager can manage more number of people, more number of here subordinates, due to proper planning, due to quality planning. Okay, so he can manage because the subordinates are, they itself, they have their own control on their work. Therefore here the manager can manage or control more number of subordinates. That is, we can say that the span of control will be wide. Okay, or else if ineffective planning is there, okay, so it imposes some limits on the span of management. If plans are not clear, span has to be narrow. Okay, and because subordinates require much consultation and guidance, the span of control will be narrow in the sense, the manager can guide, or the manager can have control only on minimum number of subordinates, because frequently these subordinates are consulting the manager regarding the work. Okay, so that is known as quality of planning. Coming to availability of staff assistance, so this is also another reason for span of control to be the span of control to be the wider or narrow. An executive can supervise more subordinates when advice and assistance of staff specialist, like private secretary, is available to him. Okay, whenever, if at all any support is there to that person, an executive, then he can supervise more subordinates. Okay, or else if at all he only has to manage means, definitely the number of control will be lessened because he has to look after many of the subordinates. Therefore, if at all availability of staff is there, means they will assist him in the work. Therefore, he can have more number of control on more number of subordinates, okay, or else vice versa. Coming to next one, efficiency of the organization. So efficiency of the organization is also another factor regarding the span of management. So what is efficiency of organization? If system of internal organization and control procedures are efficient, means span of supervision will be wide. Okay, so if at all if we are seeing all these points sub points, uh, if at all the planning is qualitative, if at all there is time availability, if at all there is efficiency of the organization, all this leads to wider aspects of supervision, wider control by the manager. Why? Because if at all they are efficient people, if at all they are skilled people, if at all there is quality of planning, okay, all these leads to the self control, okay, self confidence and self control of the people, of the subordinates. Okay, they will have a clear roles and responsibilities, so according to that they will act. Therefore, if at all they are efficient, means efficiency of the organization increases. That means the manager can manage more number of subordinates, if at all the system is more efficient. Okay, more efficient in the sense, if we have some control procedures, okay, if at all there are controlling measures, controlling aspects, then it will be definitely efficient for the organization. Efficiency of organization can be seen. And finally, span of supervision can be wide. Okay, and coming to eighth one, another one, extent of delegation of authority. So extent of delegation of authority in the sense, naturally authority means the power. So power which is exercised by the superiors on subordinates. If authority is clearly and adequately delegated, means supervision becomes easy, because if at all we have power, means then we can exercise the power. Okay, power, it makes the people to work, the subordinates to work. Okay, hence span of supervision can be enlarged. Okay, whenever we have power, okay, adequate power according to our requirement of job, means definitely the subordinates will follow our rules and regulations, or follow our directions, our instructions. So we can have more span of supervision. Okay, large wide span of supervision can be seen here. And another one is effectiveness of communication system. So effectiveness of communication system means whenever the communication is very effective, okay, which is understandable to the employees or subordinates in the organization, definitely we can see wide span of control, because clear cut defined roles, clear cut delegation of authority, clear cut quality of planning. Okay, so clear cut nature of work, all these gives a good communication to the employees. So effectiveness of communication leads to wider aspect. Okay, and if at all there is a faulty communication, means it puts heavy burden on manager's time and reduce the span of control, because he has to continuously rectify the doubts. Okay, the doubts or confusion in the subordinates, he has to clearly again he has to clearly explain about the work process or about the policies and procedures, etc., etc. Okay, on the other hand, if the system of communication is effective, means large number of managerial levels will be preferred, as the information can be transmitted easily. Okay, further, a wide span is possible if a manager can communicate effectively. Okay, use of electronics and other devices, it speeds up the communication. Okay, thereby increasing the span of management rather than sending writing in a document form. Okay, using electronic in the sense by using phones. Okay, or else messages like that, emails. Okay, coming to another one, dynamism or rate of change. So the rate of change determines the stability of policies and practices of an organization. Okay. um, if the rate of change means dynamism in the sense continuous change, frequent changes. Okay. So policies and practices of organization should be naturally stable only. If at all it is in a dynamic nature, continuously changing means, so it will be difficult to any manager, okay, to have a wider concept of span of control. Okay, why? Because continuously changing policies, continuously changing practices means again and again repeatedly that manager should communicate all those aspects to the subordinates. Okay, so therefore the span of control will be decreased. Okay, the span of control tends to be narrow where the policies and procedures or practices do not remain stable. Coming to next one, type of technology. Type of technology means firms using mass production and assembly line technology can have wider span than employing batch or process production systems. Okay, so production and line means it will have more number of subordinates. Okay, so more number of subordinates, more number of people. Okay, mass production means widely using and assembly line technology also. So assembly line technology means we can say that like a chain of command. Okay, so in that process the span of control will be wider. Okay, so it is easy for a manager to communicate with all those people, all those subordinates. Okay, so type of technology used also, it also affects the span of management. Okay, and using technology, for example, using technology means it reduces the span. Okay, and if at all reduces span in the sense uh, it will be narrow. And coming to employing batch or process production system means a lump sum people have to be seen. Okay, lump sum people have to be maintained there, and he has to see all of them. More number of people should be guided by this manager. Okay, so it is a narrow concept, and before it is before said technology is a wider concept. Okay, coming to geographical dispersion of subordinates. Okay, so geographical dispersion means uh, people were scattered in different places. So that is geographical dispersion of subordinates. Okay, physically and okay, when the employees are physically distributed at different places. Okay, their supervision and control from headquarters is difficult rather than when they are with the management. Okay, rather than maintaining in a distance where the geographically separated or geographical dispersion. Okay, so definitely it will have some effect on span of management. Therefore span of control is relatively smaller where the people are residing in another place and supervision is made in some other place, or the top management is in another place. Okay, therefore uh, the span of control will be less. Okay, that means narrow. If workers belong and work in the same work area means, then the manager may be able to manage and control large number of subordinates. Okay, compared to geographical dispersion of subordinates. And the last one is system of control. So system of control means the technique of control that is used to have a direct bearing on the span of control. Span has to be narrow when control is exercised through personal supervision. Okay, so personal supervision, personally we are with the subordinates means how can we how many people can we tackle? Personally involving with the subordinates means we cannot handle more number of people. Okay, if at all the control is less means, okay, if at all we are controlling or else if at all we are having personal supervision with one or two members means, so span of control, or else it may be wider. Okay, so here uh, we can say that span has to be narrow when control is exercised, okay, through personal supervision, right? So this is all about the span of management. Okay, and coming to after completing this factors of span of management, now we are going to the types of span of management.